Hello and welcome to SNL Sucks podcast. I am Fred Garvin. This is the critique of the season 41 episode 13, hosted by Melissa McCarthy with Kanye West as the musical guest. I am a sketch writer performer who wants Saturday Night Live to be great, but realizes more than often it is not. For more of my background, you can see SNLSucks.com, and here we go. Started with a cold opening, dinner party, people at a restaurant, talking about who they're voting for, how they really can't get around to make themselves vote for Hillary. There's just something about her. Bill Clinton comes out, Hillary comes out and sings to try to woo them. Kind of meandering. I think the music was really slow. It really kind of made a very slow-moving sketch. Maybe what I would have done is they kind of touched on it a little, where Bill Clinton said, "Vote for her for me." That might be a better sketch, where Bill wants her out of the house, and that's his reasons why you should vote for her. That might be a good sketch. Maybe they can do that someday. Maybe they already did it. Maybe I missed it. But that probably a better opener. So a little slow, really slow. The music made it really slow. I don't know if I would open with something like that. The monologue by Melissa McCarthy was up next, basically celebrating that she was a 5-time host, getting the song and dance, getting some other cast members out there to do a 5-5-5 dance until Keenan comes out and spoils the party, saying, well, it's really only the 4th time. One of them was only a 16th. And then she celebrates that she hosted 4 and 1/16th time. Kind of clever, I guess. Not bad. A little more energetic with some singing, and I'm always a sucker for a guy in a giant number costume. Up next, I think, was the highlight of the show, the pre-taped commercial about when white people found out that Beyonce was really white. Really good. Really good. Can't offer any changes that I would have made. Maybe a smidge shorter, a little bit tighter, but generally very tight and very good. And just as a side note, the commercial for Melissa McCarthy's next movie, The Boss, boy, am I out of touch. That is not a movie I would pay to see. That is not a movie I would watch for free. That is not even a commercial I wanted to watch. It looks so bland and dumb. I don't know. Maybe that's a whole new podcast, dumb movies. But what do I know? Up next was a test screening focus group where they were showing the newest scary movie, and they videotaped the audience's reaction so they could use it for the commercial to emphasize how scary it was, and people would jump and throw popcorn up in the air and all that. And Melissa McCarthy was kind of a quirky, crazy lady who had extremely exaggerated reactions, punching the person in front of her, throwing up, peeing herself. So the exaggeration was good. The ending was very, very basic. The ending was kind of one of those, we're doing improv and we can't think of an ending, and it's just kind of the, well, I'm not going to sign the release because I would embarrass myself. And the moderator says, well, you get $250. And then the person, of course, comes back and says, okay, I'll sign. It's an ending. It's a very, very basic ending. And I thought about it for a little while. And I came up with something at least different. I mean, not a much greater ending, but at least it would have been different. I think maybe if one of the characters that you would have to foreshadow, maybe one of the characters from the movie would come out and they could scare her into signing. Maybe they could give her the clipboard and she could, no, I'm not signing. And then out through the door comes, I don't know, Tree Monster or something. And they say, well, that doesn't like, Tree Monster doesn't like that. And then she does some more exaggerated screaming, maybe punching some people, throwing somebody over her shoulder, and maybe some judo. And then she signs it, throws down the clipboard, and runs away screaming. That's a better ending, and it's different. It's not Sketch 101. Up next was the kid watching Terminator with his parents, and then a sex scene comes up. Very good premise. I like that a lot. And they're kind of thinking to themselves out loud that we can hear and they can't. Awkwardness. This was good. This is a good sketch. Hate to always talk about the ending, but eventually the boy did get up and leave, and after the uncomfortableness got too much, and not really much of an ending, but I can't think of anything better. So, I don't know, just come up with a line and put the applause sign on and end it. And boy, I wish I had an applause sign in our group. We just turn off the lights and they applaud because we stopped. So, it was good. I liked it. Okay, I usually don't like to critique the musical guests, but it's like I'm watching Tron. There are 6 people, still with their jackets on from coming outside from the cold, and I don't see any instruments, and who I'm assuming is Kanye, is apparently a robot. I didn't know that. Maybe that's why he's so famous. But boy, robots have really come a long way. He moves just like a man. It's amazing. So that's what I have to say about that. Up next was the Weekend Update. Their jokes are always pretty good. It's more the guests I focus on. First one was Vanessa doing Rachel from Friends. She's really, really good at this. I wish she had better lines, maybe a little bit more focus. I thought it was funny when she didn't know who Michael Che was because he was black and there was no black people on Friends. So maybe that could have been explored a little bit more without being too controversial. She does such a good job at Rachel. I just wish they had something a little bit better for her. Next guest was Von Miller from the Super Bowl, who tried to explain the recent gravitational wave discovery of Einstein. But he could only put it in terms of football. Him crashing against quarterback Cam Newton, which was kind of funny. He did a good job. He was reading, but he did a good read. And finally, the final guest was, being the day before Valentine's Day, did a Leslie oversexed piece, which could have been shorter. I think I'm growing tired of that character. It seems a little bit more the same thing every week, but that's how reoccurring characters are, I guess. Up next was the woman teaching or sort of a class, I guess, within a bar of how women can talk to men and get their interest. And wow, this was a mess. It was just funny character doing wacky things thrown against a wall. Not really much more than that. I think it was a mess. An absolute mess. Maybe too many people wrote it, or maybe somebody wrote it and it needed to be edited and fixed. I don't know. It needed an editor, or it needed to be dropped and have one of the other sketches take its place. You've got a lot of writers. I'd like to think they don't do every sketch that people come up with. Up next was a pre-taped bit where a white guy was a rapper, and he working on his rhymes, writing them down, and he was going to challenge Kanye to a rap-off. And if I never see another white person rapping poorly, intentionally, ever again, I will be happy. That as a concept should have died over 20 years ago. It's terrible and old, and it was never good. White people rapping badly. It's so overused. So I didn't like this at all. Okay. Up next was, speaking of tired concepts, the clueless white person trying to make conversation with a black person and identify with them. Actually just saw this a week ago. I started rewatching Maude. Well, not rewatching, I don't think I've seen every one, of course, and it was the first one where Florida came to be their housekeeper, and Maude was going way overboard to make out how liberal she was and how she felt her pain and didn't want her to work really hard, but Florida just wanted to work hard and do a good job. So it was a little awkward. It's kind of a little reversal there. But on this one, it was Melissa McCarthy is a wacky character talking to Leslie, the black woman, and talking about how she enjoyed Roots and how OJ was handsome back then, and they've come a long way because she can sit at the front of the bus. Very, very tired concept. Then it kind of developed into Speed, where Leslie wanted to get off, but they couldn't because there was a bomb on the bus and they couldn't go under 50 miles an hour. So the bus driver said, "No, we got plenty of gas, no problems. I just got to make one stop." Started to hit the brake and turn like he was going through a drive-through or something, and the bus exploded. Which, that happens a lot in improv, when you don't know where you're going and everybody dies. Now, I thought about it a little, and perhaps the bus driver could have jumped out, and the passengers could have had to take over. Maybe it could have came back to something with their conversation. something, but not just ending it and everybody dies. 30 writers, somebody's got to be able to think of something better than that. Somebody. In my comedy group, somebody will come in with a sketch. We won't have an ending. And we'll shoot around like 3 or 4 good ones. And then that'll spark something. Another 3 or 4 ideas. And eventually we narrow it down to the best one. And it works. I couldn't imagine if I had 30 people who are professional writers. I could pick something out of that group, I would think. And the last sketch, Melissa and Kate playing 2 crazy cat ladies with lesbian overtones at a shelter showcasing cats up for adoption. 2 decent funny characters, some funny lines, but that was really about it. Just kind of, here's a cat, here's a funny line, here's a cat, here's a funny line. I did like one of the lines a lot, when they picked one up and said this was a cat involved in animal experimentation, and they said the cat had to put mascara on rabbits until they screamed. I thought that was funny. And we had our third OJ joke of the evening. I know it's kind of back in the news, but I had to look it up. That those murders were back in 1994. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. So the show for me was the usual one good pre-taped bit, maybe 1 or 2 decent sketches, and that's it. But I'll keep watching, and I'll keep talking about it. Thanks for listening. I'm Fred Garvin. See you next time.